All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into the incredible story of Zendesk. This is a company that started in a loft in Denmark, went on to completely change the game for customer service, and was eventually bought for more than $10 billion. I mean, how does that even happen? It's a story we've heard before in tech, right? A couple of founders, one simple idea, and then bam, a multi-billion-dollar exit. But as you're about to see with Zendesk, the road to get there was anything but straight. So, what was their secret? Well, they did it by totally reinventing how businesses talk to their customers. They looked at the clunky, super frustrating support systems everyone was using and created software that was simple, easy to use, and, well, kind of zen. And yeah, that reinvention, it paid off. Big time. I mean, look at that number, $10.2 billion. That's what a group of private equity firms paid to buy Zendesk in 2022. So let's hit rewind and figure out how they got to that point. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. We're going back to 2007. And no, we're not in some Silicon Valley garage. We're actually in a loft in Copenhagen, Denmark. So you've got these three friends, Mikkel, Alexander, and Morten, and they literally bootstrapped this thing from the ground up. They built the first version of the product all by themselves. And get this, they didn't have investor money. They were taking on side consulting jobs just to pay the bills. In those early days, it just spread quietly by word of mouth, especially with other startups who were desperate for a better way to handle customer support. And this is where things just start to take off. Look at this timeline. Landing Twitter as an early customer in 2008, that was a huge vote of confidence. But the real game changer was the move to San Francisco in 2009. See, US investors were interested, but they told the founders they had to relocate. And that one move, that was the key. It unlocked the venture capital they so desperately needed, and by 2012, they'd raised $86 million. So, with all that new cash in the bank, they were ready for their next big move, hitting Wall Street. So in 2014, Zendesk goes public with its IPO. And get this, the company that was just in a loft 7 years before, it's now valued at a mind-blowing $1.7 billion, raising a fresh $100 million in capital. Now with all that IPO money, Zendesk went on a bit of a shopping spree. They knew they couldn't just be a one-trick pony focused only on support tickets. So they bought Zopium to add live chat, then BeamEye for some really powerful analytics, and then Beast to get into sales tools. They were building a much, much bigger customer experience platform. But, this kind of crazy growth, it's never a smooth ride, right? There are always bumps in the road, controversies, and some big changes in direction. And oh yeah, Zendesk had its share of headaches. First, a pricing change in 2010 that made customers so angry they had to issue a public apology. Ouch. Then they got into some hot water for trying to trademark the word Zen. People weren't too happy about that. And of course, like so many growing tech companies, they had to deal with the fallout from a couple of data breaches. So all these challenges, plus just the way the market was heading, really forced Zendesk to change its thinking. They realized they had to move past just being reactive, just sitting there waiting for support tickets to come in. The new idea was to be proactive, to use their tools to actually engage with customers based on what they were doing online, and maybe even solve a problem before the customer even had to act. And that brings us to the most recent and honestly the most dramatic part of their story. This is where the hunter suddenly became the hunted. Okay, so check out this turn of events. In late 2021, Zendesk tries to make this massive move, a $4 billion deal to buy SurveyMonkey's parent company. But their own investors said no way and killed the deal. And then, in this crazy plot twist, just a few months later, the tables are completely turned. Zendesk gets acquired in a massive $10.2 billion deal that takes them private. So now, as a private company, their focus is absolutely laser sharp. It's all about unlocking the value that's hidden inside customer data. As one exec said, businesses are sitting on a data goldmine. And their key to digging up all that gold, you guessed it, artificial intelligence. This here is the heart of their whole strategy now. They call it the resolution learning loop. The easiest way to think about it is like a flywheel. Basically, it's the system where the AI, the human agents, and all the help articles are all connected. And every single time a customer asks a question, the whole system gets just a little bit smarter. So when you look at this whole journey from that loft in Denmark all the way to this AI-powered giant, it leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? As companies like Zendesk make customer service more and more automated and efficient, what happens to the human connection? Is the super smart bot a fair trade for a real human conversation? That's something I think we're all going to be figuring out pretty soon.